DevOps conference in 2023, so thank you, obviously, team, for that. They did mention there are speakers across from different countries here. I'm the speaker from Melbourne, Australia, so it's always a pleasure to actually get to visit Seoul because it's such a beautiful city. So what I'm going to talk today about is something known as DevOps at scale, right? And what we really mean by that is how do we embed security into DevOps and how have companies been able to scale that and still deliver the number one outcome for the business. And that's delivering applications to their consumers that pose less of a security risk than they did previously. So my name is Pas. I work as a principal solution engineer here at Snyk. I work across many different segments across Asia Pacific and Japan, and work mainly with the large financial services customers, in particular in Australia. So why are we here? Why is cybersecurity an important topic to actually discuss? If I told you that in 2020, $1 trillion was spent globally by organisations to minimise the risk of cybersecurity. So we're actually in 2023 right now, and in 2020, $1 trillion has been spent. This is the number one risk for organisations. They need to stop the threat of cybersecurity. And some examples here that I'm showing are some really popular or big security threats that impacted some of the largest organisations in the world. The Log4j issue, for those that are familiar with Java, is an example of that. Also the SolarWinds. If you ever Google any of these, you'll understand the impact this had to organisations. And all of this just because developers used open source libraries. That's what created these attacks, including container images. So we'll talk through that and I'll explain some of the key metrics around how organisations have implemented secure DevOps at scale. So first we need to start with what is happening with applications right now. So previously what we had is in traditional AppSec, actual testing was happening after development. That was too late. Now organisations are embracing a more DevOps style. So as a result of that, they need to continually test. They can't test after the application has been delivered to their consumers. That's one of the biggest changes. The other one is audit-based versus fix-based. This one is really important. If organisations are going to get secure DevOps at scale correct, they need to be testing frequently and they cannot rely on audit-based security testing. And the last one is a holistic approach to what an application means. Most of you will be familiar with an application having open source libraries and actual code that the developers have written to implement the business logic. But when we think about what's happening in the trends today, one of the most important contexts is to ensure that you treat application security the same way it's being treated from a cloud perspective as well. What do I mean by that? The developers themselves now are far more responsible for creating the cloud infrastructure than they ever were previously. They're writing the ISC files, they're writing the Docker files. All of these pose a risk to the business. So we need to find a middle ground around testing, remediating, prioritising and fixing these issues. I speak to a lot of customers around Asia Pacific and Japan, and almost every single customer will tell me, I say, Pas, the secure DevOps cycle is broken. What do they mean by that? What they're saying is that for an AppSec engineer within an organisation and the number of developers, the ratio is increasingly larger than it's ever been before. One AppSec engineer could be servicing over 1,000 developers. If we think this through, that AppSec engineer is trying to work with developers to ensure that they mitigate the risk to the business and deliver more secure apps. But the problem is the developers are scanning and not understanding what to fix. The AppSec team are scanning and knowing that these issues need to be fixed, but do not know how to instruct the developers to fix it. That's what we mean by a broken secure DevOps cycle. What we need is to bring the AppSec team and the developers closer together, empower developers, give them the control and flexibility that they need to fix these issues during the software development lifecycle. This is one of the biggest changes in terms of getting secure DevOps at scale correct. And the other topic is a lower adoption. You can have all the app scanning capability and tooling within an organization, but if the developers won't adopt it, the risk to the business doesn't change. And the best way to ensure that developers adopt security is to ensure that security and AppSec tooling is part of the software development lifecycle. And I'm going to talk about how organizations do this and still deliver apps to the business, but far more secure apps than they deliver before. So let's go through those application learnings. There's actually 3 learnings that I'm going to talk about today, and these 3 are the most impactful in terms of getting a secure DevOps practice at scale. And these are learnings that we've actually researched, conducted, and spoken to our customers with some of the largest organizations within Asia, Japan, as well as globally. And these are organizations that can have up to 5,000 developers involved. Right? And so to ensure that the developers are part of the AppSec journey and part of ensuring they deliver applications that are far more secure, these key 3 metrics make a big difference to the business. So before I do that, I want to touch on one really important concept. And the first one is we need to treat the ISC and cloud provisioning like we treat open source and code. Previously, it was 2 separate teams. In today's world and how DevOps is embraced by modern organizations, this isn't going to work. And so we need to ensure that the developers themselves fix issues during the development lifecycle. And we don't have cloud issues that could have been fixed before the application was deployed. Really, really important concept. So how actually organizations actually go and do secure DevOps? And it actually starts where the developer lives and breathes. The developer is inside his IDE. He is writing application logic for the business, and his main focus is KPI on getting those applications to the business as quickly as possible. But to embed security, he needs to be able to scan while he's writing the code. A really, really important concept. But not just scan and understand what the security issues are, but receive the remediation advice that allows him to fix the issue then and there before he's actually committed the code back into his source code management. So integration of the source code management into the IDE, that ability to what we